back to the market. Now, earlier on you saw me choosing a lovely piece of lamb, and I'm going to be using that to make a Greek speciality, which is souvlaki. Now, my version is going to be very delicious. I'm going to pair it with some halloumi cheese here. I've got some padron peppers, some rosemary, some mint, some garlic, some lemon, a bit of ground cumin, and some juicy macadamia nuts. Right then, so let's look at this lamb. This is a lovely piece of leg. Now, you can buy it cubed already, or you can buy a nice piece like this and cut it to size. Okay, let's cut it across, open that out. Okay, just pop them straight into the bowl. In we go. Now, the next ingredient is the halloumi cheese. Now, I think halloumi is really quite underused because it is quite an unusual cheese in that it's a cooking cheese, so it's no good eating it when it's cold. Now, it's made from sheep or goat's milk normally, so it's similar in flavour, I suppose, to feta, but it doesn't crumble. You wouldn't be able to skewer feta in the way that you can halloumi. So let's cut some nice cubes. And you can see as I'm cutting it, it's really, really firm and actually quite rubbery into the bowl. Now, the next ingredient I'm going to be using, I know it's not Greek, they're padron peppers, and they are Spanish. So let's just season it. Go quite lightly because there's salt in the halloumi. A little shake of the cumin, and then I'm going to grate on some of the lemon rind. Make sure you get it all out. A little splash of oil. Now, we don't want too much because we don't want it to get too smoky. Now, this, if the sun's shining, it's fantastic for cooking on a barbecue. Let's give it a good stir. Nice big chunky pieces and some good colours there. I think it's a good idea to top and tail it with a piece of meat, cheese, a lovely pepper, and another piece of meat. And I'm doing it this way with the meat on either end because it's the most stable of the ingredients, so it's going to sort of keep my souvlaki intact. I'm going to pop that straight onto the grill. There we go. Squash it onto the skewers. Now, pesto is not what you might expect to serve with souvlaki, but instead of the usual yogurt or cucumber base, I just think this is a really interesting way to get some extra zing and flavour onto already delicious skewers. Garlic, one nice juicy clove. Let's just flatten him. So the garlic's in my little mini chopper, and next I'm going to add some rosemary. A good sprig is probably enough. Next herb is mint, and be generous with this. Strip off those leaves, straight in. I'm going to fill up my little chopper with mint. Now, in an Italian style pesto, you would be using pine nuts, but I'm going to go for the macadamia, which I think has got a very nice flavour. But did you know it's also the most calorific nut that there is? So go easy on it. A little small handful, about a tablespoonful, in it goes. And that's just going to give it some nice texture as well as flavour. Get that on. That's nice and finely chopped. So a little bit of salt, pepper, squeeze of lemon. Now, you do need to chop it before you add any of the liquid, otherwise it just won't break down quite as well as you'd like it to. Quite a good glug of olive oil. A final whiz. In a pesto, you'd normally add a bit of parmesan, but because I've got the halloumi in my skewers, I'm going to leave that step out. Let's have a little turn and see how they're getting on. Gorgeous. I'm just going to tip out my pesto, and as soon as they're cooked, we'll be ready to serve. Now, if you like, you can just put this onto the table and let your guests help themselves, or if you want to serve it plated, just drizzle it on just before you serve it. Now, these look pretty well ready to me, so I'm going to dish them up. There we go, on there. And here's our lovely mint and rosemary macadamia pesto. Let's see what they make of that. It's my lamb and halloumi souvlaki with a lovely minty pesto.
Meat's lovely and tender, and pesto lovely and fresh. It's delicious.
So there's not too much to it seems, but it all works.
After trying this, I'll definitely be going to Greek restaurants.
And halloumi is also works really well with like everything.
So they made short work of that, so I think it went down very well. It was my classic Greek restaurant dish of lamb and halloumi souvlaki, and it brought a little bit of sunshine to a very cold market today.